Hey everyone, welcome to another video. In this video I'm gonna be ranking all the eyeshadow palettes that I've tried in 2021 so far. I've seen a couple of videos like this. I'm not exactly sure by whom, but if I find a video that inspired me, I will definitely link it down below. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. Let's get into these eyeshadow palettes. So if you haven't been on my channel before, my name is Marley and I love making YouTube videos about makeup and beauty. I love trying out new things. I love trying out new indie makeup. I'm really excited about makeup in general, but I also don't want to spend too much money on makeup, and I also don't want to forget about the things that I already own. So I also like to focus on the collection that I already have. So if that sounds good to you, then don't forget to subscribe. I usually upload about 2 to 3 videos a week and would love to see you again on my channel. So as always, I thought that ranking these was pretty hard. I always find it so difficult to rank things, especially if a lot of it is really good quality and just really exciting. So I did my best, but keep in mind that a lot of these rankings are influenced just by my personal preference and excitement, and that something ranks a bit lower doesn't always mean that it's bad. I do have a few palettes here in front of me that disappointed me, but I also have a lot of palettes that I just love using, so please keep that in mind. So the palette that I put in last place was the palette that just disappointed me the most, and after trying this I just felt like I don't want to use this again. I did try it a couple more times after my first impression, but now I'm at a point that I'm like, I give up. I don't want to use this anymore, and that is the Kiko Fruit Explosion eyeshadow palette in the shade 02 Rose Alchemy. This is quite a nice kind of rosy color story. I quite like how this looks, but I just feel like these shimmers are so dry. They don't show up on the lid. They don't do anything. And also after using this one time, it got hard pan. It's basically unusable. The shimmers in here are just some of the worst that I've ever tried. The mattes in here are fine, but they don't make up for the fact that the shimmers are so bad. They're just a bit on the dry side, not as pigmented or creamy as other mattes that I really like using. There's just nothing about this palette that makes me want to reach for it. The only thing I like is the packaging, which is like a kiwi, which is really cute, but I just didn't love this one and I wouldn't recommend this one. Maybe if you're like, I don't care about shimmers and I don't need my mattes to be like extremely pigmented, maybe then you can go for this one. So the next eyeshadow palette in my ranking is actually the Natasha Denona Mini Love eyeshadow palette. I've seen this in a lot of videos and I've seen people say that they really like this, but I was just pretty disappointed with this one, and it just wasn't what I expected. I just feel like there are other eyeshadow formulas that work better, that are a lot more affordable. I feel like these mattes are okay. I think they are pigmented enough, but I just don't really love how they look on me. Especially this one pulls a little bit more warm than I expect. It's not the shade that you actually see in the pan, and I was hoping to get this shade, so that always throws me off. And then the shimmers, these two I feel like are pretty dry and pretty lackluster. There's just nothing about them that makes them worth the price tag. I feel like they're just very standard, a bit on the dry side shimmers, and also you just get this really standard champagne that I already have in my collection like 100 times, but of course I could have known that when I bought this. But I don't really mind having repeat shades as long as I really like the formula. Then we have this shade, which is supposed to be like a more shimmery textured duochrome, and I just feel like indie brands have shimmers that are kind of like this but so much better in formula, that have much more shine, much more texture, much more of an impact. When I wore this I was just like, where's the shimmer? Where's the shine? Give me something more. I just kind of feel like I shouldn't have bought this palette. I personally would much rather grab for indie singles that I own than for this shade here. It's just not worth it. It's supposed to be special, but it just isn't in comparison with indie. It just doesn't match indie. And this is just a palette that I never ever reach for. It's just not one that gets me excited. Then next up we have the Artist Couture Ethereal Bloom eyeshadow palette. This also kind of disappointed me, but not as much as the other ones. I still used it a couple of times. I feel like the mattes in here are fine. I quite like them. They're nice. Nothing really to complain about that. Maybe they could be a little bit more pigmented. But the shimmers in here are really dry and not impactful. They don't pack a punch. I bought this because I saw beautiful swatches of the shimmers on their Instagram, but that just wasn't what it looked like in real life. So I still think it's a pretty cute palette and I can still reach for it for the mattes, but I don't go into this for the shimmers. When I use this, I usually just use a few of the mattes and then go in with a shimmer from another palette or maybe a single eyeshadow. So this was also pretty disappointing. I don't absolutely regret buying it because it is pretty cute, but the quality wasn't what I expected. Then next up I have the Colourpop Bambi Flower eyeshadow palette. I only used this once, so take this part of the ranking with a grain of salt, but I feel like I have quite a good idea of this quality and of this palette because I've already tried a lot of the Colourpop eyeshadow palettes. So this is a pretty cute 5-pan. We have some purple shades, we have a black with some shimmer in there, and we have some nice shimmers, some nice duochromes. So I used this the other day in a video. I did a first impression. I really liked the quality. I thought all the eyeshadows were very nice. I thought this was a really beautiful creamy shimmer. I really liked these two purples for the crease. I really don't have anything to complain about this one. The only thing is it's not very versatile. You're gonna get the same look. So this is really one, if you don't mind doing the same look, or if you really want this particular look, or you're looking for a purple shimmer with a golden flip, then this might be something for you. It's on sale right now on the Colourpop site as well. I wouldn't really pay full price for this, I think, but if you can get it on a bit of a discount, it's pretty nice. I don't think I'm gonna use this like a lot, but if I want a purple look like this, it's definitely a good one. Next up we have the Bronze Rustic palette by Juvia's Place. I still haven't officially reviewed this. I still have to do like my roundup review of all the new makeup, but I have used this a few times, so I have made up my mind. I just still have to film that video. So this is really great quality. I really like the shades in here. The shimmers are beautiful and creamy. The mattes are easy to work with. The only reason why this is a bit lower is because it pulls quite warm. It pulls warmer on the eye than I expected, so it's not exactly what I had in mind when I bought this, but I still really like it. I like using it, but this is a type of palette that I use with certain occasions. If I have a certain look in mind, if I want to go for a more warm look, then I will reach for this one, but there are other color stories here in front of me that are more my thing, my style, and that I feel like I could use a lot. So if you like warm tones, I would definitely recommend that one. So next up we have the Oden's Eye Skuld eyeshadow palette. So a few months back I actually tried Oden's Eye for the first time, and this was one of the eyeshadow palettes that I got. I really like the quality in here. It's just really pretty. We have some nice textured shades. This is more of a regular metallic, but we have a lot of dimension here, some interesting colors, but it is definitely a companion palette, and that's also what I use it for, and that's why I end up not reaching for this like all the time. It's more with certain occasions. If I'm looking for a specific type of shimmer with some texture, then I will go into this. So this is one. I really like the quality. I really like the colors in here, but it's not like an all-round palette that gives you a lot of options. So that's why it's a bit like in the middle of the ranking. Next up I put the Colourpop Blue Moon eyeshadow palette. I tried this pretty recently for the first time, but it's been out for a long time. This is really like a Colourpop classic, and I really like the quality in here. We have some beautiful shimmers, some beautiful mattes. It works very well. It gives a really beautiful, impactful blue look. I just think this is a gorgeous palette with great quality. This is just Colourpop at its best, but I don't feel like it's the most exciting, and that's just what happens when you have like a monochromatic palette. It does mean that you always get a blue look, and I feel like eyeshadow palettes with more of a color story inspire me a bit more, but I do really love this one. I think it's great. Then next up, I feel like I'm cheating a little bit because I only tried these eyeshadow palettes today, but I already know I love this brand and I just wanted to add them to this ranking. But I have to tell you, I only tried them once, so this might change, my opinion might change a little bit, but I have a lot of confidence in this brand and I've tried this brand a lot. So I feel like I already kind of know where they are supposed to be in this ranking, but just take this with a little grain of salt. So next up, I actually put the two new Nabla Cutie palettes that I tried in a video very recently, and that's also what I'm wearing on my eyes. I will link the video down below. So I put them together because they are both very beautiful in their own way. So we have the Cutie palette Analogue, and this is a beautiful neutral color story that has some warm tones but also some cool tones. It has a lot of different textures. We have a beautiful duochrome that's a little bit more like shimmery. We also have some more creamy mattes in here. There are just a lot of options in here, and I really liked the quality when I worked with this. I think this is a very versatile 6-pan and definitely worth checking out, and I definitely think it deserves a place towards the top. This is a very nice palette, and if you're into neutrals but you don't want to have like a big bulky palette, then this is a really nice one. At least as far as I've tried it, what I've experienced so far, I really like it. Then we also have the Nabla Cutie palette Midnight. This is also very beautiful. I feel like the quality of this is also very nice, but maybe a bit less easy to work with than the Analogue palette. I used this lighter blue and this darker blue in the crease, and I just had to blend a little bit longer than that Analogue palette, but in general this is a bit more interesting, a bit more exciting. We have some beautiful special shades in here. This one has like a purpley blue base to it, and then we have a lot of teal shimmer, like a gray teal. It's so beautiful. So I feel like this one is a bit more exciting, but the other one just has really great quality and versatility when it comes to the textures. So that's why I put them together. Alright, so we're getting into the top 4, and these are really like the palettes that I've been so excited about for a while now. And if you've watched me, then you probably already kind of can guess what these are. So in the 4th place, I'm actually putting the Juvia's Place the Blushed Rose eyeshadow palette. This is just my perfect eyeshadow palette. I love rosy tones, I love pinks, I love combining pink with orange. This is just such a cute color story. This is what I like to wear in spring and summer, and this shade is just so beautiful, shimmery, wet looking, so textured. The looks I did with this I absolutely loved. This quality is amazing, but this also has a color story that inspires me so much. So this has everything that I want in a palette actually. This is just like it was made for me. It's so nice. So next up we have the Oden's Eye Norns eyeshadow palette. This is just absolutely gorgeous, beautiful. It has so many beautiful textures, so many beautiful colors. This is just what really got me into Oden's Eye. When I first tried it, I was like, this brand is slept on. This brand deserves more hype. I did so many looks with this. This bottom row of shimmers is beautiful. There are so many different shifts here, different shimmers here. Like these shades have so many different colors in them actually, and this just makes the palette so much more special. But also here on the top we have some multi-chromes. This shade is kind of like iridescent, and then we have some green, some orange, some red in there. It has so many different shifts. This green is also beautiful. This is kind of like a toppery see-through gold. We have so many options here for beautiful looks that are just next level. These shades aren't like anything else I own. If you love texture, if you love special shades, this is amazing and also pretty affordable. This is like only 29 euros, which is amazing for an eyeshadow palette with these beautiful textures. I also really love the packaging. This is just beautiful. I love the artwork on here. I feel like Oden's Eye is really on their way to become one of my favorite brands. Or maybe they already are one of my favorite brands. They did this so well and this impressed me so much. So that's why I'm so excited about this, and that's why this is on number 3. Next up we have an eyeshadow palette that kind of surprised me. I thought I was gonna like it, but I liked it even more and I used it even more than I ever expected. And I've already talked about this so much. This is a Glamlite Ice Cream Dream eyeshadow palette. This has some beautiful pastels. This has an amazing shimmer formula that's so creamy. Some of them are more textured and have that shimmery textured effect on the lid. Some are a bit more smooth, some have some duochrome, some special shifts. There are just so many beautiful shades in here, but what I love about this palette in the end is the neutral shades. I love doing neutral looks with this, and I especially really love this shade called Salted Caramel. It's so beautiful. That just really blew me away when I wore it, and I wore it a couple of times, and it doesn't happen a lot that I wear the same shade like in the same week or the week after. I always like to mix it up, but I keep going back to the neutral shades in this palette. So I feel like it gives me a lot of colorful, fun options, but it's also a palette that I can use every day, that I just like to reach for a lot. So this just has everything for me. It's a bit of a big palette, I admit, but this just gave me a chance to really try Glamlite, to really try the formula, and I was really impressed. And this just had to be second because I keep reaching for this one. I can't get this palette out of my head. I just keep going back. I love these shades. It's just amazing. If Glamlite would bring out a more neutral toned eyeshadow palette, I would really buy it. I would definitely buy it. I think I would love it. And I'm waiting to try more of Glamlite, but their eyeshadow palettes still have to get to the Netherlands, so I'm still waiting for that. But this really impressed me. It just inspires me, but it's also something I reach for every day. So in first place, the last palette of this ranking has to be the Club Nebula palette by Kaleidos. This to me still is the most exciting release of 2021, and I don't think anything is gonna top this. This was just a perfect collaboration. I feel like Angelica and Kaleidos just are a match made in heaven, and they made such a beautiful palette with a perfect color story. I just think you can do so much with this, and it inspires a lot. It challenges you, but it still gives you a lot of options, and it's clear what you can do. I feel like all these tones match together so well, but you can still be very creative with it. It just makes sense even if you're not someone who wears a lot of color or really branches out with really different color combinations. I just think this whole aesthetic, the whole packaging, everything about this, just the fact that this is Angelica's collaboration and I'm just such a big fan of her, that all made this such an exciting release, and the quality is just impeccable. And I'm sorry it's no longer available, but this is just such an amazing palette. I just can't praise this enough, and I was just so excited when this was first released. This palette just makes sense, and it just has everything to inspire me, but also has some options for if you don't want to go the most colorful route. And I just think it's amazing that Angelica kept that in mind as well, and not just making something that would work for her, but also would work for a lot of different people. So that's why this definitely deserves to be in first place. So that was everything for today's ranking. Did you try any of these palettes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Tell me, did you agree with me or maybe not? I always love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe, and then I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye!